Most welfare checks are over in just a few minutes. Police knock on the door, make sure everyone's okay, and then they're on their way. That's what officers expected when they were asked to visit a home in Bethlehem Township, Pennsylvania. A family member had become worried after not hearing from a married couple. After several failed attempts to contact them, they called police and asked if someone could check on the house. Nothing about the call sounded unusual. When officers arrived, they knocked on the front door. No answer. They knocked again. Still nothing. The house was completely quiet. Rather than leave, the officers decided to take another look. They grabbed a ladder, climbed to a second-floor window, and that's when they came face to face with 58-year-old James Christopher Frank. They asked him to come downstairs and unlock the front door. He didn't argue. He didn't seem surprised to see them. He simply walked downstairs, opened the door, and let the officers inside. At that point, the officers still had no idea what they were about to find. Then Frank quietly told them that his wife was in the bathtub. The officers followed him through the house. Inside the bathroom, they found 55-year-old Deborah Denise Glazer. She was dead. The moment they saw the scene, they knew this wasn't a medical emergency. It was a homicide investigation. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to subscribe. I cover real true crime cases from across the United States every week. Detectives quickly secured the home while crime scene investigators began documenting everything inside the bathroom. Several weapons were recovered from the scene. Investigators found kitchen knives, box cutters, razor blades, and a mallet. It was immediately clear that Deborah had suffered a violent attack. But the investigation became even more disturbing once detectives started speaking with James Frank. According to investigators, he admitted that he attacked his wife with a steak knife. He said he cut her throat while she was still alive. Then, he stabbed her in the chest multiple times. Investigators also said he admitted to using a hammer to drive the knife deeper into her chest. When detectives asked why, his answer was simple. He wanted to make sure she was dead. With the physical evidence inside the home and Frank's own statements, investigators didn't have to spend weeks trying to identify a suspect. James Christopher Frank was arrested that same day and charged with first-degree murder. Over the following months, prosecutors continued building the case while Deborah's family waited for the court process to move forward. Eventually, Frank made a decision that changed how the case would end. Instead of taking the case to trial, he chose to plead guilty. On June 10, 2026, he admitted guilt to first-degree murder in a Pennsylvania courtroom. That guilty plea meant there would be no jury and no lengthy trial. A week later, Frank appeared before the judge once again. Under Pennsylvania law, first-degree murder carries a mandatory sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole. James Christopher Frank will spend the rest of his life behind bars. For Deborah Glazer's family, the sentencing brought the criminal case to an end. It didn't erase what happened, but it did mean the man responsible would never walk free again. Looking back, it's hard to imagine that the entire investigation began with such a simple request. A family member couldn't reach their loved ones. Police were asked to check on the house. Just another welfare check. Within minutes, officers found themselves standing inside one of the most disturbing crime scenes the community had seen in years. Cases like this are a reminder that investigators never know what they're about to walk into. Sometimes, the most shocking crimes are hidden behind the front door of an ordinary home. And sometimes, all it takes is one unanswered phone call for the truth to finally come to light.